Back in 1998, a woman named Carol Weirer woke up while doctors were operating on her eye. She couldn't move or scream, but she heard everything they said. It was a famous medical case. But here is the really wild part. Even people who don't wake up might still be hearing things. Scientists just proved that your brain keeps listening, learning, and even guessing what words come next while you are totally knocked out by anesthesia. And it is happening in a part of the brain that experts thought was completely shut off. For a long time, people thought that if you weren't awake, your brain wasn't doing much. When doctors put you under for surgery, the monitors show very little activity, so everyone just assumed the mind was basically switched off. It made sense back then because our tools could only see the big picture. But everything changed when researchers at Baylor College of Medicine used tiny sensors to peek deep into the brains of patients during surgery. Because these patients were already having brain procedures, scientists could see what individual brain cells were doing. What they found totally changed what we know about the unconscious mind. Here is what they did. While patients were asleep, they played a simple sound again and again. Every once in a while, they swapped it for a different sound. Usually, you'd need to be wide awake to even notice a small change like that. To their surprise, most of the brain cells reacted. Even more amazing, about a quarter of those cells could actually tell when the different sound played. The brain was basically sorting through noises all by itself while the person was totally out. It gets even weirder. After 10 minutes, the brain actually got better at spotting the different sounds. This is called plasticity. It means the brain is changing and learning from experience. We used to think you had to be awake for that, but it turns out the brain keeps practicing and getting smarter even when you have no idea what's happening. Next, the team tried something different. Actual talking. They played podcast episodes for the patients while they were out, just regular people telling stories. The brain cells fired up right away. They could tell different kinds of words apart, like names or action words. To prove it, the researchers used a computer program that could guess the category of a word just by looking at the brain activity. This confirmed that even while unconscious, the brain was actively sorting words, following the meaning and keeping track of the story. The coolest part? The brain was actually guessing which word would come next. It wasn't just reacting to sounds, it was predicting how the sentence would end. It did this almost as well as someone who was wide awake. Just think about that. A brain totally knocked out for surgery was following a story just as well as someone listening on purpose. We have to be a little careful though. This study only used one specific type of medicine to put people to sleep. We don't know if the same thing happens during normal sleep or a coma. Plus, they only looked at one part of the brain, so we can't say for sure if the whole brain is this busy, but it does explain something we've seen before. Sometimes after surgery, people find themselves humming a song that was playing in the room while they were out, or they feel better because of something a nurse said. They don't remember it, but their brain clearly soaked it up. This research shows us how that's possible. To understand why this happens, the team built an AI that mimics how brain cells are wired. 80% of units that fire things up, 20% that calm things down. Just like a real brain. They ran the same sound experiment on it. Same result. The AI noticed the odd tones, got better over time, and started predicting what came next, exactly like the unconscious patients. Then they did something you can't do with a real brain. They started cutting connections. When they disabled the calm down signals, the whole system fell apart. The AI couldn't recognize sounds or spot anything unusual anymore. That told them those quieting signals aren't just background noise, they're actually running the show. The bigger takeaway? This kind of unconscious learning doesn't need input from other brain regions or any conscious control. It's just what happens when neurons are wired a certain way. Your sleeping brain and a modern AI might be doing something more similar than anyone expected. This is big news for medicine. Since our brains can handle complex stuff while we're out, doctors might use this to check on patients who seem totally unresponsive. We might even find ways to help them communicate without needing them to wake up. It makes you wonder what else your brain is doing behind the scenes. We thought it went silent, but it's actually been working hard this whole time. If this blew your mind, like and subscribe for more.